You guys are ready? We'll go ahead and get started. Call the meeting to order. It's 5:31 p.m. And Dr. Mendenborough, Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move on to the roll call.
Julie Beechner-Taus, Joe Marcano,
Here.
Mary Little,
Present.
Jose Gonzalez Jr.,
Here.
Lori Eskew, James Robinson,
Here.
Lori Cisneros.
Here.
Thank you.
Moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Is
Motion.
there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The agenda is adopted. Moving on to public comments. Do we have any public comment tonight? No public comment? Okay, we'll jump right into informational item 3.1, which is the purpose of this meeting, a study session regarding amended Education Code 1090 resulting from AB 1390. And we have a presentation, or are we going to just move right into questioning?
Yeah, so we have for you this evening, we have both Abby Alfont from SLS and then Jonathan Medina from Fiscal to answer any questions that you have. They can present anything in regards to the study session regarding this AB 1390. So there's no formality, it's more open discussion amongst the board during this time period.
Mr. President, could we maybe have Ms. Alfont come up and just explain some of the assembly bill and how we would go about rewriting our policy?
That's fine. And then I have some questions as to what other boards are doing, so perhaps you could speak to that as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I have on the screen, it's the same presentation from the board meeting, listing out AB 1390, which did amend Education Code Section 1090. That law became effective as of the beginning of this year. Previously, that Education Code section was last amended in 1984. It did amend the provisions regarding the amounts that could be paid to county board members. It also did for school districts as well. This county is a Class 2 county, so it amended the amount that county board members in this county could be paid up to $2,000 per month. If the county did want to go that path for the amount that you could receive as board stipends, your board bylaw, which is 9250, would need to be amended. Your board bylaw currently provides that you can receive $80 per meeting, not to exceed the monthly maximum, which was the monthly maximum previously under Education Code 1090. What you would need to do is amend that provision of your current board bylaw to say that each member of the County Board of Education who attends all of the board meetings in a month may receive the maximum monthly compensation as provided for in Education Code 1090. So if you amended your board bylaw to say that, you would not need to go back and change the board bylaw in the future. That would allow that if there was any changes in the ed code in the future, that the board bylaw would not have to be changed. So that's what would have to happen in order to implement this change under Section 1090. What you would need to do is make that change. That would not mean that you would be required to take that $2,000 per month. That would be an individual determination by each board member, what amount that you would want to take. You just could not take an amount greater than what is provided for a Class 2 county. So you could not take an amount in excess of the $2,000 per month, which is what is provided for by the Education Code section as amended.
And we do not have the original wording of our bylaw.
Yes,
We do?
you do.
Where is that at?
So I apologize. That was in the packet that I provided previously, but I can share that with you.
You can just
right
read
now if I
it.
can.
Yeah.
What it says right now, I did not.
Is
provide all of the language on the slide, but what it says is members of the Kern County Board of Education shall be entitled to receive the sum of $80 for attendance at each board meeting, not to exceed the monthly amount specified in Education Code 1090 for a Class II county. Any member desiring not to receive compensation shall file a written statement to that effect with the ex officio secretary of the board. That is the full statement in 9250 currently.
So Abby, if we were to change it to the updated bylaw pursuant to the language that's on display there, that means we can get up to 2,000, but how do we decide what our, would we have to create another bylaw to say how much per meeting? How does that work?
No, you don't have to say how much per meeting. So this language allows you to take up to that dollar amount, so up to the $2,000. So technically, you could receive the $2,000, that entire amount, or each individual member has the ability to decide that, for example, Trustee Little wants to take $1,000 a month. So she could make that determination individually utilizing that language. You, Trustee Marcano, could decide, I'm more comfortable taking $500 a month. So you could make that determination. So utilizing this language changes it from the per meeting amount and gives the flexibility to take, as long as you're staying below that $2,000 per month, then it can be an individual determination.
I see.
So-
It takes it away from the per meeting determination and takes it to, so that as long as everyone is staying below the $2,000 provided by the Ed Code amount.
So in theory, each one of us can get paid a different amount depending on what we choose.
Correct.
I see.
Trustee Little, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's gone.
I'm sorry.
Any idea what other local boards are doing?
So some of the districts have decided, some districts are still in process, some districts are moving forward to have study sessions such as this. So not everyone has implemented things yet. So some districts what districts have done so far that I am aware of have gone with this language that I have proposed here, which is one of the recommendations from the language from CSBA, which provides the greatest flexibility, which is going up to changing the board bylaw to allow to go up to the maximum that's provided for by the Education Code as it was amended. And again, that gives the greatest flexibility to the board members themselves. And that is consistent with what the determination was by the California legislature and amending the code and making it consistent with what the ADA is for here based off of the Class II county, for the individual school districts based off of the ADA of their individual school districts.
So if we want to change this bylaw, we would have to do it at our next scheduled board meeting, correct?
Correct.
And then our pays would not be effective until after that point in time.
Correct.
Okay.
That is up to an individual board member. Without an individual determination, without you saying, I, Trustee Eskew, only want to receive whatever that dollar amount is, 500, then it would be the $2,000.
And is that public record?
So it is a public record that is available to be received by someone who is making a public record request. So it is not something that is immediately available, but someone who submitted a public record request that said, I want to know how much Trustee Little is receiving as a board stipend, then that would be information that is available.
Thank you.
Correct.
So I have a question as to where this money comes from, and I don't know if that's a good question for you or for Jonathan Medina,
Jonathan Medina.
but statewide, is it left to each particular board's budget?
So at the end of the day, every district allocates funds differently. But again, these funds that are directed towards board compensation for benefits or for salaries come from your unrestricted funds, because all of your restricted programs, the states or the federal entities are dictating how those funds are spent. So it's coming from the unrestricted side of local educational agencies' budgets.
John, can you explain to the board what unrestricted means?
Correct. Unrestricted funds, again, typically for us, are coming through the local control funding formula, and those are the dollars that the state has given to spend at our discretion to achieve our priorities, our outcomes, and our goals. But it's the dollars that we have the discretion on how they are spent.
And it comes from the state, you said.
Correct.
And that's, those are funds that are typically used for payroll for board members or for other staffers?
Correct. Yeah, everything, and again, our whole purpose is improve student outcomes, improve student achievement. So that's, direct to student programs, and then indirectly supporting the staff that are supporting the students at the districts.
One clarity for the board to know too is the state doesn't give allocations per category. So they would say, okay, if County B decides to do the maximum, then they shall receive additional funding to accommodate that. But basically what it means is that each county or each district would then build that into their normal budget. When they build their budget, they would say, okay, X amount of dollars now is allocated to this, X amount will allocate to this, and so forth. So that's how the state determines that, is basically, as John was mentioning, the LCFF. So it's based on a not categorical, but a classification, how the state administers the money, and then each district or county determines, as John was mentioning, as unrestricted. That's why it's called unrestricted. Everybody can do what they want with it as long as it's being spent according to their, like when we have the LCAP plan or any accountability plans. And then when the auditors come in, they will go through their checklist to make sure that you're spending the money that you said you're going to spend it on. But the state would not increase revenue dollars to a county or a district based on this particular policy. The federal restricted, those kind of dollars, those come to us with a amount, like you get $1 million and they can only be spent on X, Y, and Z. And sometimes they'll say you can pay administration costs at a percentage, 5% of administration costs could be paid towards that. But that's really rare when it comes to restricted dollars, both for California and the federal dollars. So sometimes when you hear restricted money, it's because it's very specified, whereas unrestricted, we can determine how that's allocated.
I see.
Yeah, so the part where I'm a little confused is that this is a law, correct? This is a state law that has been passed. Okay, but our unrestricted funds have not changed. This is a law that's passed, but we're expected to figure out.
Correct. The way that we see this in education is an unfunded mandate, because there are things that are allowed that we have. Again, it's going to be a board decision, but ultimately we will have to figure out, my office will have to figure out, depending on what the decision is, how we fund this, where we have to pull funds from.
That was a good choice of words, a mandate, because a mandate is something that's agreeable to both parties.
Correct. But yeah, this is, again, not a mandate, but like an unfunded mandate. I just want to clarify.
Okay.
Like curriculum adoption is a good mandate concept. Back in the old days, the state would fund school districts and county offices for a textbook adoption. You have a new math book adoption, we're going to give every school district X amount of money to go towards that curriculum. Nowadays, they're mandated to adopt new curriculum, but they tell you, you figure out how to pay for it. Once in a while, we'll get one-time dollars, and they will say you can use however you want. So some districts or county offices will hold that money and use it for an upcoming curriculum adoption. But nowadays, that mandated, it's like you're mandated to have new curriculum, but you figure out how to pay for it because you're already getting unrestricted dollars. So you carve out what you need to make that happen. So it's that weird mandate, like you said, mandate, but you figure out at the local level how you're going to pay for it.
So based off of what you just said, then are the funds available in the unrestricted fund category to sustain that? If we chose to adopt this and we all chose to receive the 2,000, is it available?
I would-
Dr. Mendenborough, I think Dr. Mendenborough just said that.
I would have
Okay.
to figure out where those funds would come from, but I can tell you right now, I only have budgeted the healthcare benefits plus the $80 a month. That's what our current budget has. But again, it's whatever the board ends up deciding. That's my role, is to figure out where are we going to fund this from, because we have our allocated resources and we're not getting more money. I'm going to have to figure out where those funds coming from. That's my role.
For how long have we been at $80 a month? How many years?
Oof.
1984.
Since 1984? Oh, wow.
So,
That's a great part.
question, yeah.
Well, it was.
Question
that
with
when it
regards
came-
to adjustment to the unrestricted funding. Is that a static amount, the unrestricted funding that we have, or does that change from year to year?
Changes from year to year based on our enrollments, our attendance, and our student makeups. So unduplicated pupil percentages, which I think the board's familiar with, but your English learners, low income, and your foster youth. Those are the groups that have the biggest way on all of our education funding.
Okay,
But
thank you.
now if I heard Dr. Mendenborough right, it would also be funded on the amount that we would be receiving, and they would build that into the funding.
Not from the
No,
state. We
not
would
from
have
the
to
state.
build it in our budget.
Okay, in our budget.
In our budget, what we present to the state would have to declare how much we're paying in those categories. And then when the auditors come in, they verify that we're paying what we said we were going to budget
Okay.
for.
Does anybody see the state providing more money to compensate this?
No, I don't.
No, that's not the weird part.
It's very similar to school district, so salaries, that's a good way to discuss it. We're hearing things in California right now that there are school districts in California that are going on strike, or they're upside down because they're paying their staff, or they're not able to pay their staff what they should be receiving because of other costs. And so the state doesn't come in and just say, well, we're going to give you more money because of it. They're going to say, try to figure out, balance out, try to reduce, get rid of things you don't need, those kind of things, before the state will ever step in. And you have to have a clear path of trying to do something before the state will step in. Once in a while, they will provide dollars to the state, from the state to districts. Last budget year or the year before, I can't remember now, it's all meshing. They gave us one-time dollars. Every school district and county office received one-time dollars. It was very minimal, but it was to help offset the AB 218 law, which allowed people to go back years ago for any sexual misconduct and stuff back in the day. So the state recognized that that was a huge increase, that districts were having to find money out of their general fund, which was pulling away from classrooms. So they gave a minimal amount of money to help with that. Still was not enough, but they gave something. So it just depends. You never know. Something like this, 2-3 years down the road, they can start seeing districts are spending more money because of this law, and they may, but I highly doubt it. That's what they do with any negotiations. When we settle salary agreements, we have to establish to the state that we're making the adjustments needed to compensate the way we can afford it. And then we kind of go from there. So as John was mentioning, if this goes into play and everyone decides what they want, then we will have to make it work, just like any other budgetary decision.
Well, just for the record, when I first started, our board meetings were nothing like they are now. And in fact, we used to have races to see who could have the shortest board meeting.
We can still do that.
And the winner is?
Well, it was pretty close. Anyway, the time and the effort have increased dramatically. And not that I'm complaining, because I enjoy what I do tremendously, or I wouldn't be here. And I think all of us do enjoy what we do. And I think we all contribute a lot of hours effort into this. And like today, I've gotten, I don't know, 3 emails. You know, it's a constant type of communication and work and looking up laws and answering people, and our time and our effort has increased probably since I started 100-fold. It's amazing. And
Another, something else that's worth bringing up, I know that a couple of the districts have already gone ahead and done the increase. They had the vote. The Kern High School District was pretty quick about it, actually. But the first thing that came to mind about this was, well, think about the people now, since there is a little bit more advanced compensation attached to this. How many other people are going to be running for this? I mean, and up to the point to where I'm kind of going, hey, I think I'm going to become a campaign manager, because you're going to have a lot of people vying for these positions. And I really do think that it's going to be, I think that the wheat and the chaff are going to separate themselves, over the course of the campaigns. But, and as much as I like this gig, and I really do, if there's somebody out there that's capable of doing things better than I am, or anybody on this board, if you get some of the better and brighter people to go ahead and do this because of the increased compensation, I think it's kind of a win in a lot of ways. Not doing it too would deplete the pool of candidates. They'd all be going for the paying positions at the other school districts.
That's what I'm concerned with.
Yeah.
it's a good point.
I do know Bakersfield City, they already did theirs. They're going to 3,000 a month. And they're taking the full amount.
Yes.
I know, I always forget about this thing, but I'm loud, so, yeah. You can hear me.
Yes.
But they're going to the 3,000 amount already, so they did the full amount. So I'm assuming they took this bylaw, so maybe some of their people didn't take the full amount. I didn't hear about Kern High.
I did.
theirs.
So, yeah, well, and also, too, bless BCSD for being the canary in this coal mine.
I'm with Joe, I don't want to be the low man on the totem pole where nobody runs for this office either. When all of us decide that we no longer want to be here, because maybe we didn't take the increase.
It'll definitely affect the future of the board.
Yeah, I agree.
Either way, I think it'll affect it.
Yes.
There's positives and negatives on both sides, and
Agree.
we go back to what our time and effort is worth. Is it worth 2,000? That's between you and your pocketbook, right?
And that's the one thing I like about the bylaw is it's our choice. We don't have to take the 2,000. We can take 5. We can take 1,000. We can take 200. It's whatever your tax lady tells you to do.
Could it change month to month? Probably a good question for.
From a technical standpoint, you could. From an administrative standpoint, I don't think that's would be in anyone's best
That's what I say. That'd
best
be a lot of work.
interest. It would be a lot of work on behalf of the county office if you made that on an ongoing basis. Technically, under the bylaw, you'd be able to, because you wouldn't be exceeding, as long as you're not exceeding the $2,000 per month. That's what the bylaw would allow you to do. There's the technical standpoint of if you're submitting on a monthly basis, I'm going from 200 to 500 to 800. I think you'd be putting a strain on the county office if you did that. But that's more of my personal 2 cents than what the bylaw would allow you to do.
It would probably be difficult to budget for that if it was fluctuating.
Correct.
And Abby, does the request have to be in writing?
Yes.
So they would submit it in writing to me, and then I would turn that over to payroll.
Correct. Because that gets to transparency and the need for there to be a record of what the request would be. So that the language that I read earlier of the full language, I would not be suggesting that the language of any member not desiring to receive the compensation shall file a written statement to that effect with the ex officio secretary of the board. to modify that to say not desiring to receive compensation of the full amount, to revise it in that fashion so that you'd have the ability to adjust the amount of what you receive.
But Abby, let's say that the remainder of this year, we all decided to take the 2,000. And we file our taxes. And everybody goes, whoa, adding that to our income. So the following year, I mean, can we then say, oh man, we just want to take 1,200 or we just want to take 1,000? That wouldn't be a technical issue, would it?
No,
Okay.
no.
Just once we do it, we should keep it for the year.
Correct.
Okay.
And I can do a draft of what that language, that following sentence would be to address the frequency issue if you would like.
Well, I would propose that we have that available for our board meeting next meeting, and we can vote on it.
Yeah, I'd like to put this on next month's agenda. I'm comfortable with the verbiage that's on here.
Mm-hmm. And then add the extra little verbiage that you just spoke.
Yeah, so any member not desiring to receive the full compensation shall file a written statement to that effect with the ex officio secretary of the board. Be my proposed sentence. So the first sentence will be exactly what I have on the screen. The second sentence will read, any member not desiring to receive the full compensation shall file a written statement to that effect with the ex officio secretary of the board. I can add something regarding the frequency, so
I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, it's probably not necessary.
so I'll just there was not anything regarding frequency previously, so I will just leave it as I just recited to you, which again is any member not desiring to receive the full compensation shall file a written statement to that effect with the ex officio secretary of the board. which
Is that
again
the only?
Dr. Mendeborough.
Sorry. Is that the only document you'd require from any individual that chose to take less than the maximum amount? I know there's going to be something coming from the board going directly to the offices, okay, of the superintendent. But unless we're going to adjust the amount down, we don't have to. There's no other action required on our part to contact the superintendent of schools.
No, so you would submit a written statement to Dr. Mendeborough as the ex officio secretary of the board. It would be his responsibility to submit that through the appropriate administrative channels within the
I would
organization.
think that we should, no matter what we do, if we want the 2,000 or lower, that we should all submit.
So everybody should put in writing whether, if say I don't get
I would think that would be more,
if I don't receive a letter from a trustee, then do I just automatically assume it's the max?
Correct.
Can I ask for that to be put in writing? Or can we put in there that all members, is that what you're asking? I didn't think just for, that would be, I think that would be great, because I'm just thinking of our auditors, when they come into audit, and they're gonna say, well, why did trustee blank, you're just paying them because they didn't tell you, but you made everybody else say they were gonna get less.
well, I would think we would have the responsibility to let you know.
Right. But I'm just saying, because
Exactly.
how the law is written, it just says if, it doesn't say that you have to put in, if you don't receive anything less, then it's assumed, but I'd rather have, for your purposes, to make sure that you're declaring what you want.
Is that something that needs to be added to the bylaw, or is it something that we can?
Yeah.
Are we going to be provided with a form for that? Do we write a personal letter? How do we do that?
We could do a form that way. The form, that way it's consistent. We'll have a form for next month. If it's approved, then I'll just hand you a form like we do with any other type of form, Form 700s and all that. We'll just have a template. You fill it out, mark on there, take maximum, and you mark not maximum, enter your amount that you desire, sign it, turn it in. That way it's
Thank you.
uniform for everybody.
So I see that as being just an administrative form.
Right, I don't think that needs to
collect.
be-
I don't think that needs to be in the board bylaw. That would just be more like
I agree.
an HR type the form for, just like you complete for direct deposit or something of that nature, that it, and we can certainly have that for the next board meeting so that there's clarity of who's collecting what, so that HR has that information so that that can get set up for payment. I think my opinion is that the clarity that's needed for the board bylaw is the process for any member who desires not to receive the full amount of the compensation. Can be persuaded otherwise if you want for me to put that in the bylaw. But right now, my recommendation would be that the sentence that's included in the bylaw is that any member desiring not to receive the full compensation shall file a written statement to that effect with the ex officio secretary of the board, because that's what's clear to provide the clarity, because the board bylaw is addressing that you're entitled, that you attend all of the board meetings, you may receive the maximum compensation as provided in the ed code, which is that $2,000 per month. So the form that Dr. Mendeborough is mentioning is a administrative
Well, I like the idea of a
confirmation.
paper trail.
which we will have.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mr. Medina, it would cost $168,000 a year if every one of us takes 2,000. What's that look like for you, sir?
Oh, you're
So
prepared.
right now, doing nothing, we still cover $130,000 just for this fiscal year to cover health and welfare benefits. That's a minimum that I figured out. Going up to the maximum, that goes up to just over $307,000. So that's with benefits, correct? So you're talking a difference of $170,000. That's what the ask is. I'll have to figure it out. I mean, I would be lying to you if I said we wouldn't have to be doing some type of gymnastics, because I mean, every dollar that comes into the office, it's either direct support for students or indirect supporting the staff that are supporting the students. So,
Well, when we do like the superintendent's salary adjustment, you have to figure it out,
correct.
and we may always make it work.
My only counsel would be, again, whatever dollar amount you select, be sure and be sure that you are comfortable in backing that up to your constituents, because it's not just the salary dollar amount. It's not just $2,000 a month, 24 grand.
I understand.
It's the
I understand that
21, because I just
completely.
wanted to be clear with that part, but
I've been here a long time, John.
We believe in you.
yeah.
Just a comment on that, but the actual law is not stating that we have to say that or present that to our constituents of our reasoning. The law doesn't say that, but you're saying,
It would be my counsel, and again, this being under the framework that, again, I would have a similar conversation with any one of our programs at KCSOS. I'd be giving the same counsel of be sure to protect yourself. With my risk management hat on, I want to help you protect yourself. Just make sure that you're aware of that. That's all.
that makes sense, but the law itself doesn't say it.
Correct. The
Okay,
law
yeah,
is,
just pointing that out.
yeah.
It would be politically expedient.
Any further questions by anybody? Are we good? Okay. Go ahead and adjourn this meeting. It is 6:05 PM.
And Joe Marcano takes the lead.